Do it.
What is up, guys? My name is the Austinator, and welcome back to the channel. We are doing another live discussion, and today I have a special guest today with me. I have Biggaford Entertainment, aka Jason. Say hello, Jason.
What's up, people? How you doing? Great to be on the stream. Can't wait to get this shit started with you, bro.
Well, thank you. So today for the live discussion, I decided that since it's our 10th live discussion, we're going to be talking about the Amazing Spider-Man films because for my first one, I talked about Spider-Man 3 with Ninjoid 243. So I decided, hey, why not for the 10th one? Let's do the Amazing Spider-Man. We
I'm
got
down.
Sauerkraut over here. What's up,
What
Sour?
what up, Sour? What up, Ninjoid?
We got Ninjoid over here. What's up, Ninjoid? So yeah, before we get into that, where can they find you, Jason?
You could check out my channel, Biggaford Entertainment. I'm also on Sundays with Danny and Terrence. We do Equilibrium. And now I'm screaming with Rob. So every now and then we're on Rob's channel doing some streams. There's some great content. Got some great supporters like you guys in the chat. So check us out, man.
And we got Sour, nothing much. I feel that. Glad my power's back. That's actually good news, Sour.
Oh, he lost his power?
Yeah, so earlier he lost his power, but he got it back.
Oh, that's good.
And now you guys can find me on Twitter at the Austinator17. You guys can find me on Facebook at Austin Blair. You guys can find me on Discord at the Austinator. You guys can also check out my YouTube channel, the Austinator. We have 32 subscribers. I'm trying to reach my goal of 40 subscribers. And I'm also working on a top secret project that I am working on. And if you're on the Discord server, you guys will probably know what I'm doing. And if you already saw it, Ninjoid Sour, don't spoil it to anybody because I want to reveal it when the time is right.
Absolutely. And I'll be looking forward to seeing that, bro.
Thank you. It's gonna be a fun ride.
Good.
So let's get this started. Now, The Amazing Spider-Man. Well, before we get into The Amazing Spider-Man, we can't really talk about The Amazing Spider-Man without talking about the Raimi films.
I agree.
Now, I'm gonna give my perspective on the Raimi films, and then I'll ask you what you thought of them. But the Raimi films were really the first superhero film I watched. I would say these and the Tim Burton Batman films and Daredevil were like the first like superhero films I actually watched as a kid. And I would have to say the first two films are absolutely fantastic. I would definitely say they're two of the best superhero films of all time. The third one, as a kid, I really liked, but then I grew to despise later down the line to where it's probably my least favorite film ever.
I agree with you 100%. The first two Spider-Man 2 is actually better than Spider-Man 1 in my opinion, but I like them both. They're great. Spider-Man 3 is a hot mess. It's a hot mess, man. It's just really bad, you know.
Because me and Ninjoid talked about it on the first live discussion, and I said everything I hated about it. I hated the pointless dance scenes. I hated the breakup scene on the bridge was hilariously bad. I thought there was too much going on. It was just a wreck. I agree. It was horrible. I need subscribers.
I agree with you 100%.
Nicholas, you have you been uploading, Nicholas? Because if that's the case, then it might help you. I mean, that's really kind of my tip, honestly.
And I don't know if I subscribe, but I'll subscribe to your channel, Nicholas, for sure.
I will as well. I just have to find it because like every time I try to look for it, I can't find it in the search engine.
Yeah, that's why I had to change the name of mine because, as you know, it was Jason Miller, right? So I went and did a search and did Jason Miller, and all these names popped up. And I was like, okay, so if anyone really is trying to find me, it's going to be a hard time finding me with that name. So changed it to Biggaford Entertainment. Biggaford was my nickname growing up, so I just started using that.
Hey, that's a great name.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. And again, before we get into the Amazing Spider-Man, I want to talk about. No, not yet. That would be my tip, Nicholas, is to just start uploading stuff. Like it could be anything, like game videos or like anything like that, and then your channel will grow.
Absolutely.
Before I was answering Nicholas's thing, I was going to talk about what happened to Spider-Man 4. Now, I wanted to ask you, after Spider-Man 3, would you have liked to see a Spider-Man 4?
You know what? To be honest with you, I wouldn't have mind because let's put it this way. You got 3 movies, one of them was bad, so you have a chance to at least make it up in Spider-Man 4. And Spider-Man 3, there was a lot of studio interference, right? They forced him to put Venom in there. He didn't want to put Venom in there. So I'm like, if they were to give him a Spider-Man 4 and, let him do what he wanted to do, I'd be down with that.
I actually agree. I would like to see a Spider-Man 4 because after the disappointment that was Spider-Man 3, I would have really liked to see what they could have done with this film. But then after
Mm-hmm.
hearing what was going on behind the scenes with this film, I'm glad it did not come out. Now, I don't know if you heard this story. I'm going to tell you the conflicting rumors. So
Uh-huh.
one of the things on the rumor mill was that Sony was making was writing a script for the remake while Sam Raimi was was in production with Spider-Man 4.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if this is true because that's kind of screwy in
Mm-hmm.
my opinion of Sony to do that. There was also a lot of studio interference here as well because I believe Sam Raimi in this film wanted to do Vulture and Felicia Hardy, and they were going to make Felicia Hardy the Vultress.
Really?
Yes, that is from what I heard, and that already sounds stupid. And I think that was
Absolutely.
only Sam Raimi's thing.
Yeah, that's absolutely sounds stupid if it was, But again, if he was able to pull it off, maybe, because you can change some things in movies that if it's done well, it'll be like, okay, I could deal with that. So if it was done well, maybe, but it's still like when you're listening to it right away, it's like, that doesn't sound too interesting, So
Absolutely. But then Sony, the geniuses they are, they wanted to throw in Lizard into the movie,
mm-hmm.
which we ended up getting into the Amazing Spider-Man, which we'll be talking about the Amazing Spider-Man in a little bit here. And Sony was pressuring. I believe this again was back to the rumor that they were making a remake while Raimi was making Spider-Man 4. Was that they were pressuring Raimi to just stop production of the film entirely so they can make the remake. And we all know what happened. Spider-Man 4 ended up getting canceled in favor of the remake, and the rest is history.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And so I guess now we can go into the film, The Amazing Spider-Man.
Yep.
What was your initial reaction to the film? Were you like, it was good? Was it okay? Or did you just not like it?
I wouldn't say I didn't like it, but I wouldn't say I liked it, but I didn't hate it. I just, like you said, I thought it was a meh type of movie. You know what I mean? Like a lot of the things they did with his parents, I just didn't feel that stuff, man. You know what I mean? I'm like, not feeling it. Andrew Garfield was okay as Spider-Man, but to me personally, I was just like, when I seen the Raimi movies, the first 2, I was like, it has to be better than these, and I didn't think it was.
Yeah, I'm actually going to be completely honest. The first superhero film I ever went to see in a theater was The Amazing Spider-Man.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you the truth. I like this movie, but I
Mm-hmm.
agree that it's not as good as the first 2 Spider-Man films.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'll kind of go into my reasons, like why I like the film and then like why we don't like the film.
Sure.
So I think as my initial reaction as a guy, person in theater, I really liked the film. I liked how it was different than the Raimi films rather than it being a retread.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes with remakes, they do the same thing, and then it's like, really? Like, why not just
Yeah,
make it its own thing?
exactly. Like, how many times do we have to watch Peter Parker become Spider-Man? You know what I mean?
Yeah. But they did the
So,
origin story way different, in a
yeah,
sense.
they did. Yeah, they did it differently, and they did it too, which wasn't bad because it was Raimi's and then this one. But now, just imagine we had Raimi's, this one, and then Marvel did the same thing too. It would have been like, okay, we already know how Spider-Man became Spider-Man, So the fact that they did it again wasn't an issue with me. It's just the more times you remake something, is the more times you're just rehashing old shit
Yeah, we don't want a retread of the remake of Psycho, which they just did the entire movie again.
all over again. Exactly.
Ninja
Yeah.
comes in. Lizard was the best part. I don't know. I don't know if he was necessarily the greatest part of the film. I would say he's okay, but as a
Mm-hmm.
villain, I found Lizard to be kind of boring.
Yeah, for real. I can agree with that.
And
100%.
and also with the Amazing Spider-Man, one of my biggest criticisms is that they cut scenes out that should have been in the movie.
Yeah, which scenes did they cut out? I don't think I've seen the deleted scenes.
So if you bought the movie on DVD, they have like a bunch of deleted scenes. They had a deleted scene of Dr. Connors, like talking with his son. We see more of Dr. Connors, like deterioration, like of his mind, a bit.
Okay, that would have
And
been interesting to see.
and then there was a scene of the it was when Peter went into the sewer. It wasn't the fight scene. It was the scene after the school fight, and he and
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Connors are talking, and then you see the Dr. Kafka guy.
Mm-hmm.
And then you see Lizard kill him, which would have wrapped up Dr. Kafka's character.
Okay. Yeah. Yep.
And to me, those scenes should have been in the film. And but it's I don't really think it would have impacted the film that much.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
it would have been nice to see.
Yeah, for sure. You know what I mean? Sometimes when you cut out things from a movie, like they did with Batman versus Superman, you kind of mess up the story wise, You leave loose ends and stuff. So seeing him kill the other doctor would have been a nice way to tie up that loose end there, and it would have made sense.
Absolutely. I'm actually gonna say like one of the positives I have of this movie is I found the romance between Peter Parker and Gwen Stacy better than the romance with Peter Parker and Mary Jane in the Raimi films.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. They had a better chemistry, I believe.
Yeah, they did. And even though it's a bit rushed, I do feel like it's much more, I guess, fluid in a way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could see that. And I wasn't big fan of Raimi's Mary Jane. I just wasn't a big fan of her.
I was not either. She was like a damsel in distress the entire time.
Yeah, exactly. Like every movie she was getting kidnapped. I'm like, really now?
And also, no one acknowledges the fact that Mary Jane in those movies was like a cheater.
Yeah, you're right. Because she was with Harry first, and then she went to Peter Parker, and yeah, absolutely right.
We got a couple comments here. Ninja says, "I'm just too much of a Lizard fan." I'm a Lizard fan as well, but I'm not a big fan of him though in the comics.
Mm-hmm.
Like there are better villains than the Lizard, but I agree.
Mm-hmm.
With Billy, yeah, that's his son's name. Sour comes in. I don't really like the Amazing Spider-Man movies. Hey, Sour man, that's your opinion, my friend. I'm not gonna
knock it or anything, if you don't like them. I mean, like I said, I'm not a huge fan of them either. I don't hate them, but I'm not a huge fan of them, so completely understandable.
And Mary Jane was more like Gwen. No, I have to. What are you talking about here, Ninjoid? Because Mary Jane and Gwen were two different characters.
I think he means it. I think I understand what he means. Like in the comics, Mary Jane was more like a party animal and stuff like that, and Gwen was like the quiet schoolgirl type, and I believe in the Raimi movies they made Mary Jane more like the quiet schoolgirl type. So if that's what he means, I can understand that.
All right, if that's what he meant, then yeah, I agree. But if we were talking about the damsel in distress thing, I honestly don't agree with that at all because they were very, very. I think Gwen's a more stronger character.
Oh, and the Amazing Spider-Man's, yeah, she is.
Spider-Man 1, yes, Jason's correct. Okay, that's what you meant. Okay, because yeah, I could see that she was kind of like Gwen. I think one of the positives of the film, and I know I keep saying positives, but I liked I know you kind of criticize this, but I did like we see what happened to Peter's parents here because that was something that I was kind of like, all right, they don't really touch on that in the Raimi films
at all.
So it was kind of cool to see that. But then it kind of gives you more Batman vibes in a way because you have the parents, they die.
Right, exactly. And from all the Spider-Man I know, he's always been like, it's Uncle Ben, Uncle Ben got killed and I didn't help him and it's my fault. But I find they focused a lot more on the parents in the Amazing Spider-Man. So yeah.
I kind of didn't like the relationship between him and his uncle here, and I don't know if that's just me, but I felt like their relationship was more like I wouldn't say the relationship of the film was bad. I just think the way like Peter kind of was like a dick to Uncle Ben. Yeah, like he was like a dick, and then like okay, I understand Uncle Ben is going to be upset over the fact that he didn't pick up Aunt May, but I feel like there are just better ways to do it rather than screaming at his face and then Peter like telling him like you're a hypocrite because you're like. And I think the Raimi films do it way better.
Yeah, absolutely. Me too. In the Raimi films, it feels like there's more love between the two of them. You know what I mean? There's more love, respect, and concern. And in the Amazing Spider-Man, it just feels like, like a teenager and his father, basically, type of thing.
Yeah, I just didn't like that part of the film. I would say like a negative of the film for me is that I feel like the tone of the film is just not Spider-Man.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
It's a very Batman film.
Yes, 100%.
I found the film to be too serious. I found them like focusing too much on the romance. Which the romance is fine, but I came to see a superhero film, not like 500 Days of Summer.
Exactly. You want to see his progression from Spider-Man. You know what I mean? As Spider-Man, I should say. The trials and tribulations, the mistakes he made, what he learns from being Spider-Man. And I think they just glossed over that way too much.
They absolutely did, and I found Peter Parker in this film, like not when he's not Spider-Man. I found him to be annoying.
I can agree with that too. A lot of people like him as the best Spider-Man, and I'm like, not to me, Like I really didn't think he was the best. I thought he was okay, but I would still put Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man over him.
But here's the thing, though. I like Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man better than his Peter Parker.
Yes, that's absolutely right.
And Tobey Maguire was better as Peter Parker than he was Spider-Man.
Absolutely. And in Andrew Garfield, his Spider-Man was more of the wisecracking Spider-Man that we got from the comics. So that I can definitely agree with.
I think the reason why I'm actually this next positive is probably going to be a little bit of a nitpick, but I like that he has the web shooters in this film.
Oh yeah, me too. 100%.
Because 100%. Being a Spider-Man, like, because I read the comic books, and I like the fact that they incorporate the web shooters in here. Because in the comics, in some of the comics, he does have the organic web shooters, but I think it makes more sense for him to have the web shooters.
The organic ones must be new because when I was reading the comics, it was always he was making his own webs, you know, and that basically also makes it to the point where he's fighting a villain and he runs out of webs. So now he has to use other strategies to beat them. And I really like that. It shows how intelligent he is, you know. But in the Raimi ones, it's just like out of his risk. And then he has that little where he has no power for a while, which is the only part I didn't really feel in that part of the movies, you know. But other than that, yeah, you're right. The making them was a lot better.
I actually another nitpick. This is actually positive, but this is kind of like a mixed nitpick. The costume in this film, I agree, isn't the best, but I like that it's more realistic.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because with the Raimi films, it's like, how did Peter have the resources to make that costume?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas with this one, they went with more like, okay, it's more realistic because they're on a budget. Like Aunt May doesn't make a lot of money, and Peter, so he's using like sunglasses, spandex. I like that.
Yeah, me too. That was a definitely, like you said, like in the Raimi ones, it's like Spider-Man has this wicked suit right away. It's like, how did you get that suit? You know, you guys are broke, you know. So I completely understand that.
Yeah, it's like, I would say, I think really my last, well, I have a couple more positives here. I liked that again, in Spider-Man 3, they brought in George Stacy and Gwen Stacy. I like their characters here better. And I like how they adapted the death of George Stacy in this film, because he does die in the comics.
Yes, me too. I like the way they did him. Actor that played him, I like him too. So that was a very good dynamic there, you know. So I can definitely agree with you on that one.
And I think that my last positive here, I would say the action of the film is really good. I wouldn't say it's good as the Raimi films, but I would say it's good.
Yeah, it's definitely decent, you know. There were a few things where he's fighting the lizard that I liked, but in general, I wasn't in that holy wow moment, you know what I mean? Watching that fight, it was good, but I want to see like wow stuff, you know.
No, I agree. Like, am I saying like the sequences in this film top like the train sequence in Spider-Man 2 or like the action sequences at all in Spider-Man 2? No, I don't think they're better than that. Like, I think the action in the Raimi films are way better because they have more of a spectacle type things to it.
Yep.
But I like how here it's more grounded.
Yeah, I can agree with that. And I like the scenes like in Spider-Man 2 where he's fighting Doc Ock, you know what I mean? And they're on the train. And yeah, I think the fighting is definitely better. And you're right, Amazing Spider-Man is just a little bit more grounded, you know, because you can tell Raimi was more comic book cartoony type of style, whereas Amazing Spider-Man was a little bit darker, a little bit more gritty. So I can definitely agree with that as well.
So I think that's all my positives and negatives. Do you want to go, Jason?
Like I said, my positives, Andrew Garfield in the movie. I really thought he did an excellent job. He was good. I still prefer Tobey Maguire better, but I think that's just because he was the first one I watched and I was in love with those movies, you know. Maybe if I had a better experience with The Amazing Spider-Man, I would feel differently. But because I left it just being like, oh, it was okay. It wasn't bad. Maybe that's why I still picked the Raimis over that, you know. Negatives about the movie, like I said, the parent stuff kind of threw me off. I understand it, you know, they wanted to do something different and I get that. But for me, Spider-Man has always been his argument, or not his argument, but his pain for what happened with Ben. And more this one, he had the pain, but he was still like, no, I got to find out what happened to my parents. I want to know what happened to my parents, instead of really focusing on this. And yeah, my uncle Ben died because I didn't do anything. So that was one of my negatives about that. But other than that, so it's a decent movie.
I respect that. My final grade, I'm gonna go out of 5 here because I think 10's a little too much. So I think out of 5, I would probably give it I would give this one maybe a 3.75 out of 5. I thought it was, again, I think it's a good film. I do agree that it's not as good as Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2,
Hmm.
but I would rather watch it over Spider-Man 3.
Oh yeah, for sure. I don't think I could ever watch Spider-Man 3 again. I mean, for me, Spider-Man 3, there's not even anything in there other than actually the scene where Sandman actually becomes Sandman, where he falls in the pit and he turns into Sandman. I think that scene is one of the best scenes in that movie. Actually, the best scene in that movie. But other than that, there's nothing else that gives me that, oh shit, I got to see that scene again. I got to see this again, you know? There's nothing in that movie, man. Nothing. Like when that movie came out, it was like, oh my God, they're putting in Venom. Yes. And Venom is what drove a lot of people to see that movie. And the Venom in that movie is just trash.
Oh, it was horrible. They had, like,
Hmm.
Topher Grace in that film was just terrible.
Absolutely terrible. You know, the Venom we know is Brock Lesnar, you know, at least the most popular one. He's muscular, he's a bully. And yeah, this Venom was like, I don't even know what they were trying to do, to be honest with you.
Before we get into the next topic here, before I ask you what your final grade for this film is, I want to ask:
Hmm.
did you watch the Spider-Man 3 editor's cut?
No,
Um,
no, I did
I'm
not.
gonna I'm gonna tell you right now, it does not help the movie at all. Like, it adds more scenes to Spider-Man 3, which I'll give it credit
Hmm.
for, because you do see an extra scene with Black Suit Spider-Man, which is great. Um,
Hmm.
they do change some scenes around, but it doesn't really help the movie at all. Like, I found it, again, the problems are still there, and then
Hmm.
there are some editing problems.
Yeah, well, I definitely didn't even know they had a extended cut version of it. I'll look for it. I'll check it out. You know, again, it's hard to watch that movie. So, but if I'm gonna see something different, I'll give it a chance to watch it again. But again, it's really hard. It's really hard to watch that movie, man. Really, really hard.
Oh, it's just bad. Like, it's one of those films that I usually skip, because, like, I watched the first two Spider-Man films and I skipped Spider-Man 3 entirely, because it's like,
Hmm.
if you were, like, binge watching the trilogy, you watch the first two, you're like, okay, the third one has to be good, and then you watch the third one, you're
Hmm.
like, wow, I'm disappointed.
Hmm. Absolutely. And that's exactly what it was. Like I was disappointed. You know, you give us two really good movies and then you give us Spider-Man 3. So yeah, none of that.
So now I want to ask what your final grade for The Amazing Spider-Man is.
I gave it a 3.5.
It's a solid
I
grade.
give Yeah, I give it 3.5. Like I said, I didn't hate the movie. I didn't absolutely love it, but it's in the middle there for sure. For sure.
So now our next topic we're going to be talking about is the oh so controversial, the most probably hated Spider-Man movie of all time, The Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Yep.
Oh boy. So I would like to ask you first, what did you think of this movie?
This one I'm kind of in the minority. I don't think it was bad. You know what I mean? A lot of people hated it, and I don't think it was bad. I just thought they could have did a little bit better. Like Jamie Foxx's character, I liked him as Electro. I just didn't like the writing for him as Electro. The whiny, will you be my friend type of crap. That annoyed me. That annoyed me. But I actually liked him as Electro, you know, when he did his voice and he was doing his electricity stuff, thought it was pretty cool. But yeah, the writing in that movie is fucking horrible. Sorry for the language, but the
No, it's
writing in that
okay. This
writing in that
stream
movie
is not
is
made for kids, so.
okay, good. Yeah, the writing in that movie is horrible. I just no. What did you think about it?
I'm actually going to agree with you. I actually like this movie.
Okay, good. I thought
I
I was in the minority.
Oh no, there's actually a lot of people who like this movie. Like, I think Rob likes this movie. Um,
Hmm.
I think Adam likes it as well. Because last time I checked was like his review of it, and he said like it was like a disappointment, but I think he said it was better than Spider-Man 3.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which I 100% agree with. I think it's better.
Me too.
I still have negatives with this film, like with The Amazing Spider-Man, but I would rather watch this any other day than Spider-Man 3.
Me too. I would
So
absolutely take that. If you gave me a choice and you said Spider-Man 3 or Spider-Man 2, The Amazing Spider-Man 2, I would be like, Amazing Spider-Man 2, please.
I agree with you on that. So since I did it with The Amazing Spider-Man first, what were your positives and negatives with The Amazing Spider-Man 2?
Most of my negatives go with the writing. I absolutely, like I said, I liked Jamie Foxx in the role. I thought Andrew Garfield did a better job as Spider-Man in this movie. I liked him better as Spider-Man in this movie. And the chemistry between him and Gwen was even better, where he's fighting to get her to stay and he's conflicted because he's Spider-Man and he's having like visions of Gwen's father. I thought that was very interesting and I thought that was very good. The fighting scenes I actually love. Like I love that first scene where Electro comes in and he's shooting lightning and Peter Parker, Spider-Man, has to save the crowd that are on the stairs. So he's saving the car. He's hitting the fence with his web. So not the fence, the bar with his web so that they don't get electrocuted. I love that scene. Absolutely loved it. So there were a lot of fighting scenes. Oh, and of course the end with Gwen Stacy dying. That scene was like, oh, when I first seen it, I watched it and it blew past me. But then when I watched it again, like they actually show her head hit the ground, and I was like, fuck, like wow, okay, that's definitely interesting. I did not like Harry Osborn. I don't like the way he looked. If I had to choose, I would choose Raimi's Goblin better. Other than that, like I pretty much enjoyed the movie. I came out of there
Oh,
with a good vibes. You know what I mean? I came out of there saying, okay, this wasn't a bad one. I actually liked it. So
so so for my positives and negatives, the positives here, the suit in this movie is way better than Amazing Spider-Man, and I
yep.
still think it's probably the best Spider-Man suit we saw in any Spider-Man film.
I agree.
I like the tone here better. I like it's not like that dark of a film. I agree with you that the chemistry between Gwen and Peter was probably its best here, and I like that he's more conflicted about should I stay with her, should I not.
Absolutely. Makes for a more dramatic, like scene. You know what I mean? It's not like, oh, okay, I know I'm Spider-Man and I want to be with her, but he was like really conflicted. He was like really fighting that, and he's seeing visions of her father and the promise that he made to her. I liked that stuff.
I did as well. I did, even though I didn't like the writing, I liked Electro in this movie. Again, I don't think he's the best villain ever in any of these Spider-Man films, but I do say for this film, I think he's probably the best villain in the film.
Yeah, me too.
I actually like Electro's presentation in this film as well, because like his blue like electric body, it reminds me of the Ultimate comics where like he was like the pure electricity.
Yep, exactly.
That I liked.
Me too.
The death of Gwen Stacy was again like very comic accurate because Peter shoots the web line, Gwen breaks her neck, and that was done absolutely well. And I'm like, that's probably one of the best scenes of this entire. I would say it's not the best. It's not the best, but I would say it's one of the best scenes in this entire, in like any of the Spider-Man films.
I agree, 100%. I agree with you.
My negatives of the film, and I have a lot of negatives with this film. I did not like the Green Goblin. I thought he was just really not done well.
Me too.
I didn't like the design of him. I didn't like his writing. It just I didn't like Rhino in this film
Oh
is
God, yeah,
non-existent.
I know.
I would say he's in the film in the beginning technically, and then he's at the end of the film, like last 2 minutes.
Hmm.
Not a big fan of that.
Me neither. He was unnecessary. If you're gonna just do that with him, you could have left him out, and that changes nothing in that movie.
It really doesn't. I think that's again one of my negatives with this film is that it has the Spider-Man 3 treatment of they put too much in.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There's so
100.
many plot lines and so many like things to remember. It's like, all right, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. 100%. Like you said, he's still going through the father thing. He's conflicted with that. He has to fight Electro. He has to fight Green Goblin. So yeah, I agree with you. They put way too much in that, and that's because they were trying to lead up to a Sinister Six movie, right? And you can do that without convoluting your movie with all that unnecessary stuff.
And this movie also reminds me of Iron Man 2, where this movie felt like an advertisement for the Sinister Six, and
Hmm.
Iron Man 2 was like an advertisement for the Avengers.
Agreed.
Which,
Agreed.
I mean, you can do that, but you have to do it subtly. You can't just do that like, oh, you can't throw it in our faces like, oh, there's the Green Goblin, oh, there's Rhino, like like you already know, and then you have Vulture, Doc Ock references, and the after credit scene. It just,
Mm-hmm.
it was just too much.
Absolutely agree. 100%.
And I know that my next negative is gonna probably surprise you. I did not like the action in this film.
Oh, really?
Like the Electro sequence out in the Times Square was cool, but the last action sequence I found it to be very lacking.
I can agree with that. Where he's flying through the electrical things and it's making the music and shit. Yeah. And the way he kills Electro so easily. Yeah, I definitely agree with that 100%.
Man, what else? I feel like there wasn't a lot of Aunt May and Peter's relationship in this film.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they basically used Aunt May here as a plot device.
Yep. 100%.
Which that I was not a big fan of. I was like, because they did sort of do it okay in the first one. Here, it's more like she's just there to be there.
Yeah, exactly. And another problem I had with it too is, and this is one of my pet peeves in really all movies, but like when you have a human and a superhero, and the superhero is telling you, stay back, don't come over here, there's nothing you can really do, and then you disobey him and you come, you know what I mean? Those kind of things irk me in movies. Like when you have a kid and you're telling the kid, don't go nowhere, stay right here. And they go off, the parent goes off and does something, and next thing you know, the kid comes out, Mom, where are you? And starts looking for them. I'm like, oh, come on now.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. I wouldn't say that's like a peeve of mine, but I do get annoyed when that happens. I mean, with Gwen, like I could understand she is smart, so I could see her maybe doing something when she was like fighting Electro. But when it came down to the Green Goblin, she like did nothing, and I was like, okay, really?
Yeah, exactly. At least she kind of helped with Electro, but when it came to Green Goblin, she was just there to basically die. So.
And another negative of this film, I actually think the opening of this film isn't very good with the plane sequence.
Oh yeah, right. You're right. I forgot about that.
The opening sequence of the film is just it's shot terribly.
Yeah, I agree.
Like the stuff with Spider-Man after that is cool, but the airplanes are like that. Just the plane sequence, I was just like, this is stupid.
Yeah, I agree with that. And again, that goes to me with the topic of them wanting to do his parents thing, So that was a scene that they put in for that, and I was just like, again, another scene that if you don't put in, changes nothing in the movie. So.
Did you hear the rumor that Mary Jane was supposed to be in the Amazing Spider-Man 2?
Yes, I did. Actually, I believe they actually filmed scenes with her and cut them out.
I think they did, and yeah, it was just like I'm actually glad they didn't do Mary Jane in this film because there was so much going on.
Yeah, it wasn't needed at all.
No.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
I mean, I think that they would probably do Mary Jane in the Amazing Spider-Man 3, which, well, we'll get into that when we get into that. But I would have liked to see what Mary Jane was like in this universe, rather than and
mhm,
like see how different she was compared to the Mary Jane in the Raimi films.
mhm. I absolutely agree with you because they couldn't make her the girl next door anymore because they already did that with Gwen. So they would have probably had to have made her the party animal that she was in the comics, which would have been interesting to see, like to get a real take on Mary Jane.
Yeah. Um, I'm trying to think of any other real negatives I have with the film. I would say I like they do kind of name drop Black Cat in this movie with
Yeah.
Felicia Hardy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There was going to be a deleted scene in the home release. Yeah, I I believe so. There was actually an alternate ending where like Peter's father shows up at the tombstone.
Yeah, I think I read about that too. Yeah.
That probably would have ruined the movie for me.
Yeah. You're right. Like you said, there was way too much in it already. So they didn't need to be adding all this other stuff. So the fact that they didn't put that in there is a good thing.
I agree. Nicholas wants to know what's your favorite Spider-Man actor. Now, are you talking about live action or just any of the, or like just Spider-Man in general, Nicholas? Because, I mean, if we're talking live action, I'm probably gonna have to say Tom Holland
So would I.
because I feel
So would
like
I.
Tom Holland has the perfect combination of Peter Parker and Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas with Andrew Garfield, like I said earlier, is like a great Spider-Man, but not a good Peter Parker. And
Mm-hmm.
Tobey Maguire was a great Peter Parker, but just not a good Spider-Man.
Yep, I can agree with you 100%.
Ninja says Rhino sucked. He looked too much like a dinosaur. Yeah, I didn't like the look of Rhino in this film either.
Me neither. You know what I mean? He was in like a metal contraption crap. I didn't like that either. You know, that's not what Rhino is. They should have got just some huge big dude, maybe a wrestler, to play Rhino. So I agree with that.
Rhino was bad, Sauer says. Absolutely agree. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
think everybody agrees at this point that Rhino was bad.
Yep, 100%.
Ninja says Green Goblin sucked in my opinion. The glider rocked though. Well, it was better than the new Goblin glider in Spider-Man 3.
Definitely,
That
100%.
because new Goblin's glider looked like a skateboard.
Yeah, it did. And I again another thing about Spider-Man 3 is Harry Osborn in that movie. That was so horrible. It was really bad. Even his death scene was bad.
Yeah, the death scene was so forced because he just like shows up and is like, "Hey, I'm here to help,"
Mhm.
even though I told you, by the way, I'm not helping you.
Exactly. Exactly. And then you knew once he came on the scene, he was just there to die. You just knew it because they weren't going to kill off MJ, right? So who else?
Um, actually, one of my biggest criticisms of Spider-Man 3 was the whole Butler scene where he tells Harry, "Oh, by the way, like your father
Mm-hmm.
killed himself."
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why he didn't say that in any like in Spider-Man 2 or even the beginning of 3, because if he said
Exactly.
that, the entire third film probably would not have happened the way it did.
Exactly. Exactly. You hold that, you let him hate Spider-Man for all this time, and you know that Spider-Man didn't kill his father, and you wait until the last minute to tell him.
Also, that last act in Spider-Man 3 where they kidnap Mary Jane, they should have done it with
Mhm.
Gwen Stacy. That would have made more sense.
For real. Yep. 100%. But again, Mary Jane was just there to be the damsel in distress.
Ninja says, why couldn't Rhino be like Juggernaut? Because apparently that would have made too much sense.
Yeah, they could have definitely did a CGI Rhino, which would have been a lot better.
Sarah says, Rhino not. Nicholas says, Tom Holland is my favorite actor because his first appearance was in Captain America Civil War. I agree. I kind of agree with that. But when we do kind of talk about the Marvel films, I feel like I have a lot to say about it. Some not very good things.
No, I can understand that. I mean, even me, like, I think the movies are decent, but again, like for me, the Raimi ones are the best ones. Even Far From Home, and I think they're better than those. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, I think and this is just my opinion, I think Homecoming and Far From Home are overrated.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
And I think the
100%.
reason why everybody overrated them was because it was made by Marvel, and everybody was
Hmm.
like, "Oh, Homecoming and Far From Home are awesome," because the
Hmm.
Marvel fanboys are gonna say Marvel is great at everything.
And most of them do. And most of them do. Most of them always say, oh, the Marvel movies are better. But people don't understand that Marvel has a lot of bad movies.
Yeah, like everybody will focus like, "Oh, Marvel has really good movies and DC has bad movies," but they don't talk about DC's good movies and they don't talk about Marvel's bad movies.
Exactly. And you got to remember, Marvel has 22 movies. DC doesn't even have 10 yet.
And
Right?
and yeah, and they don't even talk about the films like that were not even made by like Marvel. Like they're not talking about X-Men. They're not talking about Fantastic
Hmm.
Four, Ghost Rider, Punisher. Like they're mainly talking about the Avengers. In
Hmm.
that
Yep.
universe. But if you
100%.
talked about all the other stuff, Marvel doesn't really have that many great movies. Because
Exactly.
Ghost Rider and Ghost Rider 2 are bad films. I don't understand how people even like the first Ghost Rider movie.
Me neither. Because I don't.
Because
I hated
I
the
have
first one.
friends who tell me that the
Uh-huh.
first Ghost Rider movie was a good movie. I don't get it.
I don't see that. I hated that movie. I hated the first one. I hated the second one even more. The second one was like a hot mess, right? I would never watch them again. Like those are movies, if they're on, I'd be like, oh, Ghost Rider, click, change the channel.
You know what's sad? I own both Ghost Rider movies on Blu-ray.
You bought them, and that's not a problem. You like to collect your movies. I wouldn't buy them, but I can see you. That's fine.
And when we talk about bad Marvel movies, how about we talk about that recent Fantastic Four movie?
Yeah, that was horrible.
But then everybody's just going to ignore it and say, "Oh, that movie was not made by Marvel. Movie was made by Fox. It
Hmm.
was still a Marvel license."
Yeah, it was still a superhero movie, still a Marvel license, but it was trash, absolute trash. And I had
It,
high hopes for that movie. You know what I mean? I really was hoping that movie would have been good, and no, it just was a mess.
when the director of that film hates the movie, then you know it's bad.
Yep, 100%.
But then everybody, like the Marvel fanboys, are going to say, "Well, Marvel has really good movies, but yet we're not going to talk about any of the really good Batman films or Superman movies. Like they're not going to,
Mm.
they're not going to acknowledge Wonder Woman or Aquaman or even Watchmen. They're just going to say, "Oh, DC has bad films." Okay,
Mm-hmm.
it's
Or
like
Shazam.
saying it's like
No, I was gonna say, or Shazam. Shazam was a good one too.
I I don't think Shazam was a. I think Shazam was a good film, but I don't. It's not my favorite DC movie.
No, of course not. But it was a enjoyable movie to watch. You know what I mean? It wasn't one of those ones that I hated. I can understand some of the criticism about it, but I thought it was a fun movie.
It was. And by the way, anybody who's watching this stream afterwards, I'm going to say something might be very controversial here. I would rather sit down and watch Shazam rather than Captain Marvel.
I can agree with that. I can agree with that. I'd rather watch Shazam than Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
I mean, I like Guardians too, but I do agree Shazam is a better film.
I wasn't a big fan of it, and I could tell you why. It's just I found it way too jokey. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, and they took Drax Batista, who was like a character in the first one. I want to kill Thanos. We're gonna kill Thanos. And then in the second one, he was comic relief, and I'm like, why did they change the character like that? I did not like that.
yeah, I agree. Like I watched, for the most part, I think I watched the more recent Marvel films in theater. I don't remember, like I didn't watch the older films, but I watched the earlier ones.
Hmm.
Uh, So like I watched Avengers Infinity War. I watched I believe I watched Endgame. I watched Ant-Man the Wasp in theater. I saw Far From Home.
Mm-hmm.
We do have a few comments here. I actually liked Homecoming Far From Home. Enjoyed, dude. I'm not saying Homecoming Far From Home are bad movies. I think they're just overrated.
Yeah, I don't think they're bad either. You know what I mean? There's a lot of things in it I like, especially in Far From Home, where they outed Peter at the end, and we seen the J. Jonah Jameson from the Raimi movies. I love that. You know, I thought Mysterio was a pretty good character. I'm not exactly. I understand why they did it. I don't like how his powers were. You know, usually Mysterio has actual powers, but I understand why they did it in this movie because they wanted to, you know, connect it to Tony Stark and Tony Stark this and that. But other than that part of the character, I thought Mysterio was pretty good.
I absolutely agree. Like I agree. Like I would say I would say the second and third act of Far From Home saved the movie because the first act is just boring and slow.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree, 100%.
Ninja says, but Spider-Man 1 and 2 are my favorite superhero films. I mean, Spider-Man 2 would probably be my favorite superhero film, but I don't like Spider-Man 1 is one of those films like I could sit down and watch and like have it's like a popcorn movie.
Mm-hmm.
I would say Spider-Man 1 is a good film, but I don't know if it's definitely not my top 5. I would say it would probably be in the top 10
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure.
because my like top 5 would be Spider-Man 2, X-Men, Days of Future Past, I would say The Dark Knight. Maybe no, I can't really say that because then I'm gonna have everybody in the comments going, "Oh, you like Batman v Superman?" I like the Ultimate Cut.
Nothing's wrong with that, man. Absolutely nothing's wrong with that. I didn't think it was such a bad movie either. And a lot of people, I say this all the time, a lot of people complain about that Martha scene, but nobody complains. And I love Guardians of the Galaxy, but that end scene where Star-Lord is dancing at the end to distract the dude, I think is one of the stupidest things as well. So I'm like, if you're going to complain about Martha, why not complain about that as well?
Oh, absolutely. But Ed, that again brings you back to my point that Marvel fanboys are going to say, "Well, Marvel is perfect in every way," while
Mm-hmm.
DC is like because we're not going to acknowledge that DC also has a lot better stuff than Marvel does.
Absolutely. I agree.
DC has better comics. I think DC has better animated movies. I think DC has just better characters and better villains.
Well, their animated movies Marvel can't even touch those. Nothing. Marvel can make like 3 or 4 good animated movies right now, but DC 90% of them are really good. Not just good, really good. So yeah.
And the not so good ones aren't even bad.
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. Like I watched, Hulk was my favorite character growing up. He's always been my favorite superhero character. So they brought out the Hulk versus Thor and Hulk versus Wolverine. I didn't like them.
You didn't like them?
I didn't like them. I didn't like them.
Honestly really enjoy. I enjoyed them. I would, but they're not my favorites.
Yeah, they're not like especially for me because, like I said, I've been watching DC stuff and I'm expecting something like that, and I'm just like, this is okay, but it's just not like it can't compare to what DC does. Death of Superman, Reign of Superman, Justice League War, the Justice League Dark, like all these movies, Under the Red Hood, like these are really good animated cartoons, man. And Marvel, not even close to that level.
And they're gonna say like, we have good animated shows. Sure, but you also have to acknowledge that DC did the animated films like earlier. They did them better. Like
absolutely.
Because you have Batman the Animated Series, which kind of was the influence for Spider-Man's animated show. And Spider-Man's animated show wasn't even that. I think it's good for the Marvel side of things, but Batman's show was way better.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
The animation
most of the Batman shows.
It's not stiff.
Most of the Batman animation cartoons were better than those Spider-Man ones, for sure.
So we have a few more chats here. I want to get to these before we get to our final grade for Amazing Spider-Man 2. I know we kind of dwelled, into the whole DC Marvel thing, but that's okay. That's what a live discussion is.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Homecoming was great. Far From Home was really good. Again, I really like those films, Sour. I just think they're overrated. Like, when I mean overrated, I mean they're not bad films. I just think people hype them up too much.
Mm-hmm. Because they have the Marvel name on them,
Yeah, because it's Marvel. Like, everyone's going to hype it up. It's Marvel. And I'm going to tell you right now, Phase 5, I don't care.
Yeah, it doesn't seem too interesting to me other than, the stuff we're probably going to get on Disney Plus with Winter Soldier. But the movies themselves, I'm just like, meh, you got to show me something to get me excited.
Like Black Widow, I'm not excited for. It's a prequel. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care about Shang-Chi. I didn't care for him in the comics. I don't care now.
Mm-hmm.
The Eternals, I don't even know who they are.
Neither did I, or neither do I. You know what I mean? Like, I know nothing about them. And to me, that movie looks like it's going to be an agenda-driven movie, which I'm not down for.
Yeah, I'm not down for it either. I think it's gonna be one of those films that if it was like, I don't know, I probably will see it just to bash, probably.
Mm-hmm,
But there were a few films I kind of am interested in, like Doctor Strange 2, that's gonna be good. Black Panther 2 is gonna be good. Spider-Man 3, I'm excited to see just like what happens.
Me too.
If they do Fantastic Four and X-Men, I'll be excited for those. I'm interested to see what they're gonna do with the new Blade, but I'm not really excited for it either. I'm kind of just like, okay, it's gonna happen.
Blade, I'm excited for.
Well, I did sort of like the first two Blades. Again, not my favorite superhero films, but like they're fun movies. Blade Trinity's god awful.
Yeah, it is 100%.
There was like a fourth one. I didn't even know there was a fourth one. It was God, what was it called?
There was
I don't remember.
Blade movie.
Yeah, there was like a fourth Blade movie, but I don't know if it was like really a movie. I think it was more like a direct-to-video movie.
It probably was, because I know Wesley Snipes was done after 3.
Yeah, that just, oh god. I kind of want to see what Marvel's gonna do with Blade. How it's gonna do it with like a PG rating. But hey, I mean, I think the original Blades were like PG-13, so I could see them maybe doing something like that.
Yeah,
a Marvel Fantastic Four I'm excited to see, just so that way I can say, hey, they're actually trying to do a good Fantastic Four movie. I'll give the old Fantastic Fours this. They tried.
Yeah, for real. 100%.
Again, not good movies, mind you, but they did try.
Yeah, they did try. And they had some good elements in it. Silver Surfer was good up until they tried to take his power and stuff like that. They dropped the ball with Galactus. That's 100%.
Oh, man. I try to forget they even did that Galactus thing.
I don't blame you, man. I mean, like I said, I was talking to Terrence, and I was like, at least they show a silhouette of his face in the clouds, But I'm like, no, that's not Galactus. What is this crap?
So, it's worse. Well, no, I actually don't think it's worse than the Parallax thing in Green Lantern.
It's close, though.
It is. And yes, you Marvel fanboys that are watching this, yes, I will admit that Green Lantern was a bad DC movie.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's awful. I wouldn't say it's as bad as Fantastic.
But it's definitely awful. Like you said, if you're not being biased, you can't deny that, right? So Marvel fanboys need to learn not to be biased either. You know what I mean? Take it for what it is. If it's a bad movie, it's a bad movie. Like, it happens.
And listen, Marvel fanboys that are watching this after the fact, I'm pleading with you. I want you to watch one good DC movie, and then I want you to watch here. I'll give you some recommendations. I want you to watch the Tim Burton Batman films. I want you to watch the first two Christopher Reeve Superman films. I want you to watch Watchmen, the Dark Knight trilogy, Superman Returns, Man of Steel, the Ultimate Cut of BVS. I want you to watch Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Shazam, and then I want you to watch the bad. Well, actually, no, and then I want you to watch the Marvel films I listed earlier, like Ghost Rider, X-Men, Fantastic Four, and then come to me and say, "Hey, listen, I watched the DC films. I don't care for them." Okay, I can understand that because you gave them a chance. You didn't like them. Fine. Just try to watch them.
Yeah, good idea. You know, you have a lot of friends that won't watch those movies, or
yeah, because I have a friend who she went to my Votech. She does not like DC at all, but then I don't even know if she's even watched a DC film.
Oh wow.
Oh no, it's a he. I'm sorry. I get confused sometimes. I get them confused.
It's okay, man.
It's just like because I was just so used to it, and it's like and then I get mixed up, and then
So he hasn't even watched one movie.
I don't know. Fantastic Four 2015 should die in a hole. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yep.
I don't like Ghost Rider and Ghost Rider 2 because I hate Nicolas Cage. I love Nicolas Cage.
Me too.
I mean, he was bad in these films, but I love Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Fantastic Four 2015. I trashed a lot on my channel. I know Detroit because I've been on your channel's discussions a lot, and I know that that's the running joke.
Well, you can't wrong him for trashing it.
No, I can't because it's terrible.
It's fucking horrible. It's like
Galactus
really
was
bad.
supposed to be in the standalone Silver Surfer film that was canceled. Well, I mean, Silver Surfer just does not have a good track record for me. His animated show is awful.
Oh yeah, I've only seen like 1 or 2 episodes of that, and I was like, no, I had enough.
Awful. Batman 1989. Yes, that was a great film. Tim Burton Batman 1989, fantastic. All great DC films. That's why I chose them, because Marvel fanboys are just going to tell me, "Oh, Marvel is picture perfect." Yet all those films I listed I would say, are easily better than any of the MCU films.
I could agree with some of them, but not. I don't think it's better than. They're better than Infinity Wars.
I was over exaggerating there. I meant to say like it's better than the Phase 1 films, Phase 2. I would even say it's better than really some of the Phase 3 films. Infinity War or Endgame.
No, I can agree with that. And even Endgame, it might be, because for me, Endgame, I'll be honest with you, I sat there in Endgame, I'm like, this is kind of boring until the end. You know what I mean?
The first act for me is kind of boring, but once they did the time travel stuff, I liked it because because again, I love the Marvel films, I love DC, I like that they're referencing the first 2 films. I like that.
Ninja go ahead.
Ninja says I have many friends that refuse to watch DC films. I do as well.
Wow. I'm not biased, you know what I mean? I'll watch them. And like I've said many times, I didn't have a problem with the way DC was doing their movies. I actually liked seeing a darker, different version than the MUC. So I didn't have a problem with that. And I didn't mind seeing them. I just wish they would have had a better plan and they would have stuck to it. Because I think Ben Affleck was a great Batman. And
he was awesome.
I want to see more of him as Batman. You know what I mean?
If the rumors are true and AT&T are able to get Ben Affleck to be Batman again, I will be there opening night.
Yeah, for sure. Me too. 100%.
Because I'm Batfleck for life. I don't want Robert Pattinson as Batman.
Me neither.
I want Ben Affleck forever and always. He's in my heart.
Me too.
Batman.
I was one of the ones, a lot of people were like, oh, Ben Affleck as Batman's going to be trash. And I'm like, no, he's not. Trust me, he's going to be a good Batman. Oh, no, Daredevil. They kept bringing up Daredevil. And I'm like, listen, Daredevil wasn't a good movie, but it had nothing to do with him.
I really like Daredevil, though.
I know. There's a few that did, too. me personally, I only like things about it. I liked Kingpin, and I liked Bullseye in the movie.
Oh yeah, no, like I agree with you on the Bullseye and Kingpin parts because they are really really good.
Mm-hmm.
If you watch the extended cut, it's a really really good film.
See, that's another extended cut that I haven't seen yet, and I'm like, how come all these extended cuts are out there and I haven't seen them? So,
oh, the comics with Silver Surfer rocked. I would say that.
which one?
Silver Surfer.
Oh, in the comics, yeah, for sure.
All right, guys. Before I get to these next chats, I do want to get into our final grades of Amazing Spider-Man 2 because we went way off topic here. Well, we'll go back to this in like a little bit. We'll go back to your guys' comments, but I wanna get our final grades in, and I want to talk about Amazing Spider-Man 3 first, so that way we can get this done. Or well, I wouldn't say done because I have a lot of time on my hands. So
I got about maybe 20 minutes left. Then I gotta start cooking food for the fam. So
okay, that is perfectly fine. So we got 20 more minutes. Let's make them count.
Sure.
So my final grade for the Amazing Spider-Man 2, I'm gonna have to go with a 3.5 because again, it's a good film. I don't like it as much as I like the first Amazing Spider-Man more, but Amazing Spider-Man 2 had a lot of things I liked about it, but there was just a lot of negatives with that film.
Got you. I gave it a 4 because I actually liked it a little bit better than the first one. So I gave the first one a 3.5, so I'm giving it a 4.
You know what? I respect that. I would have probably given it a 4 if, like I said, I just think if the negatives weren't like really, really bad, I probably would have given it a 4 as well.
Yeah, not a problem. I could definitely agree with that. You know what I mean? At least we're not both here saying it was trash, you know?
Yeah. So now I want to talk about the Amazing Spider-Man 3. What happened? Why didn't it happen? And I'll kind of talk about it a little bit here. So I'm actually going to tell you what the plans were for this film. I don't know if this is true, and I'm actually glad they did not do this. Apparently, they were going to do clones.
Clones of who?
Gwen Stacy and Captain Stacy.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, no, I never heard that.
That's from what I heard. I think I know in Amazing Spider-Man 3, I think they put up Peter or Spider-Man beating Rhino, and there was like I don't even like other than the clones in that thing. I don't really remember much about this. I don't even think anybody really knows.
Yeah, exactly. And to be honest with you, if they were to do that clone thing, yeah, that would have been absolutely horrible.
But actually, I wanted to ask you this. Kind of like with Spider-Man 4, would you have been open to seeing an Amazing Spider-Man 3 after Amazing Spider-Man 2?
Amazing Spider-Man 3, I see them all, right? So I would definitely see it. I was actually interested in the Sinister Six. I was very interested in that. You know, I would have liked to see what they would have done with that. Again, I do have faith. Like I said, I didn't hate Amazing Spider-Man 2, so I would have definitely had faith that they could have did something better. The only problem I would have had is a lot of these movies, once you start putting a lot of characters in, they ruin the movie. You know what I mean? So that would have been my only issue.
I agree with that. And I think another reason why this film never happened was because of the critical and financial success of this film. Because this film was panned. And when I mean panned, I mean this is probably the least acclaimed film. Like I think it had like a 54%, which is lower than Spider-Man 3. I don't know how. And it is the least grossing Spider-Man film of them all.
Yep.
And it's really sad because I don't think Amazing Spider-Man 2 is that bad. And I believe the final, I guess the two nails in the coffin, I guess I could say, were Andrew Garfield getting fired and the whole Sony Marvel deal.
Yep, that was it.
Because Andrew, from what I heard, they were gonna do like a press thing at like a international event where they were gonna reveal the Amazing Spider-Man 3. Andrew didn't show up, so they said, "Oh, see you later."
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's again from what I heard. I don't know if that's true.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
And then the whole Sony leaks happened where they revealed that Marvel and Sony were in talks, so they did the recast, and then we know what happened there.
mm-hmm.
Um,
I actually think that was the main reason. Maybe the other reason, I never heard that, but it could be possible because you never know, man. Like I said, with these rumors, they're hit and miss, right? The rumor that there was all this stuff going on about The Last Jedi and how the script was online and all that shit, a lot of people didn't believe it, and it ended up being true. So there's always some kind of truth to these rumors. So I wouldn't say it's not true, but I know one of the main reasons is because Marvel bought it.
oh, absolutely. And I honestly, I actually would have preferred Andrew Garfield if they just kept him in the MCU rather than firing him. But I understand because you're trying to do something new with the character.
Exactly. And then you don't want to confuse people because now they're going to start thinking, so wait, Amazing Spider-Man 2 and 3 are in the Marvel universe and stuff like that, you know? So,
I agree. Now we're finally getting to the last real topic, and that's the MCU Spider-Man, basically the aftermath of these films.
mm-hmm.
Civil War was Tom Holland's first appearance. Tom Holland is the guy who becomes Spider-Man after Andrew Garfield. I liked him here in Civil War. In fact, I like Tom Holland's Spider-Man in the Avengers films and this film better than his own standalone films.
Me too.
His standalone films are overrated. I think it's just me as a comic book fan because Spider-Man in Spider-Man Homecoming and Far From Home is basically Tony Stark Jr.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't like how they don't acknowledge Uncle Ben in this movie.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The villains are great, but that doesn't really save the films overall.
Exactly. Exactly. And I agree with you 100%. As this is another case of them just glossing over Uncle Ben's importance to Spider-Man. You know what I mean? Like, he's the reason why he does what he does. You know, he had his powers. He was doing things for money. You know, he was trying to make money. He wanted to, especially in the Raimi ones, he wanted to impress MJ, you know, all this kind of crap. And you don't get to the point of in the Marvel ones that, you know, like his uncle died and it's his fault. And this is why he does what he does. They don't talk about it at all.
No, they don't, and it's absolutely sad because I know because if we see the Uncle Ben death again, then it's kind of like, all right, we've already seen this. Like I know I think that's one of the things I give those films is that they don't show the origin again because at that point we don't want to show the origin again because we already seen it 2 times over. We don't need it again. But
Exactly.
it would have been, but as a flashback, it would have been fine to see.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Flashback or even like a mention, you know what I mean? Like a mention. It's not that. It's not even that. I think maybe they mention his name like once. And then everything is Mr. Stark, Mr. Stark. Oh my God, Mr. Stark, you know?
Oh yeah, absolutely. That to me was just so dumb. Like I know
Yeah.
he's a kid, but Peter was always smart. Like he should have been able to do that stuff by himself.
Absolutely. 100%.
So now I'm finally going to get to these chats because I kind of had to go into those things because those were the topics for the today.
Oh, no problem. It's great, man. I loved it. It's great.
Endgame was a little slow. Yeah, I agree, Ninjoy, that it was very slow. I think the first hour and a half was very slow. I'd say when they started doing the time travel stuff, I think that was probably where I liked it more.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Infinity War Roque is the best MCU film in my opinion. Absolutely agreed.
Yep, me too.
Absolutely agreed.
Me too. That's one of those ones I can just sit down and watch from start to finish and enjoy it every time I watch it, you know?
Oh, absolutely agreed. Ninjoy says, I enjoyed Daredevil. I enjoyed it too. Too many extended cuts. Oh, dude. There's so many extended cuts. It's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's even an extended cut for Suicide Squad.
I know, and I never seen it yet either.
It's it doesn't help the movie. It still sucks.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I get it. If you want to make an extended cut, I understand that. But if you're just putting in little more dialogue or something like that, man, you got to make sure that if you put something in like they did with Batman v Superman, it at least extends the story or makes things come together in a better light.
Like, if we got that movie rather than the one in theaters, I think the movie would have been better received.
I agree too, 100%.
Sour says he's back. Welcome back. Peter was going to bring back people from the dead in the Amazing Spider-Man 3. Well, I'm very, very glad they didn't make an Amazing Spider-Man 3.
Yeah, me too. Me too. If that's the way they were going, yeah, I don't want to see that.
No, because then it's like you're doing the Ra's al Ghul treatment.
Exactly.
Ninjoid says, I think they're building up Peter's Spider-Man, but let's hope he'll mention Uncle Ben in the third Tom Holland film. Yeah, I agree.
I don't know, man. I agree too, but it seems like he's just infatuated with Tony Stark's. You know what I mean? So, are we gonna get another one where he's crying about Tony Stark being dead, and you know what I mean? He needs Tony Stark to help him get through this crap, and because that's all it's been so far. It's never been like, oh my God, my Uncle Ben died, and I'm doing this to prove to Uncle Ben to make up for my mistake. It's like, no, it's Tony Stark, Tony Stark, Tony Stark.
Oh, that was just so. I still just think that's so stupid. I mean, I know like they're friends in the comics, but this was just like, oh, they're a father-son relationship. I did not like it at all.
I agree with you 100%.
Not just a suitcase. Me too. Nicholas says, I enjoyed Justice League Dark Apocalypse War. That was a very good movie.
It really was.
Like, it like, I was like, oh, like, it's very, very gruesome.
Yep. They had some balls in that one. Trust me.
Like, they killed off basically everybody.
Everybody, yep.
Unless your name is Batman, then you're probably dead.
Exactly. And that movie was well done. You know what I mean? The story was good. I like how you think Constantine ran because he's a coward, and you find out it's because of Batman. Like, it was just really good.
Oh, absolutely. My favorite scene of the entire movie was when Batman and this might be spoilers to anybody watching this, but when Batman and Robin fought, that was probably one of the best scenes of the film.
That was so
the dialogue preceding the film where Batman tells Damian that he was like basically a mistake and that he weighed him down. That was like emotional because that Bruce doesn't really mean this stuff because
exactly.
And the death scene of Damian, or quote unquote death scene, I think it would have had more. I think, and this is just my opinion, I think they should have had Batman sacrifice himself for Damian because I feel like that would have made more sense and it would have probably had more emotional impact when Batman finally like breaks free from the mind control. Which I think like that would have been like a real tearjerker in my opinion.
Oh yeah, I can definitely see that. I could definitely see that, and that's a good idea. I didn't have a problem with the way they did it though, because that shit snapped Batman out of it right away. When his son died, you know what I mean? There was no like, conflict. It was just like a click, boom, and he was back. So I like the way they did it. And
I like the consistency with Batman where he, when he holds the sword to Damian's neck, and then it shows like a flashback to when the Joe Chill was like pointing the gun at Bruce.
Yeah, exactly.
And then like he throws the sword at Darkseid and tells him to go to hell. That was chills. I'm like, that's what Batman should have said and would have like go to hell. And then I'm like, yeah, Batman's back. He's ready to kick ass. And then the movie kind of ends. I just personally would like. I know this is because I'm a Batman fan, but I honestly think that if I saw a little bit more of the evil Batman, I probably would have been like, "This is cool."
Yeah. They gave us a little bit, you know what I mean, which I liked. They could have given us a little bit more, but I liked what they did. I liked how they took away Superman's powers. They turned Batman bad. Everything that Darkseid did in that movie made sense.
It was genius
Mm-hmm.
because you take out Superman, he's no longer a threat, and mind controlling Batman makes sense because you need Bruce Wayne's smarts and intellect to even do the stuff he wanted to do.
100%. You know, you don't want to kill Batman, especially if you can make him an ally. Like, he's top detective. You know what I mean? He got the skills, he got the brain power. So if you can get that on your side, absolutely.
And Sauer comes in. Thor Ragnarok is my favorite MCU film. I liked it. It's not my favorite MCU film. It would be up there, but I think compared to like films like Captain America: Winter Soldier, Civil War, films like that, I think it's good. I'll say it's good.
I did not like Ragnarok. No, let me rephrase that. I like the first half of Ragnarok right up until he gets to the planet, and then that's when I started hating it. Like, too much jokes. Again, I'm a Hulk fan, and I hated what they did to the Hulk. I just hated it. He was speaking like a 10-year-old child. You know, Thor beat him. I was like, no, I'm not feeling this.
Yeah, I agree. But I think Hulk in that movie was just I think Hulk in like after Avengers: Age of Ultron, or I would even say like after the first
The
Avengers,
first Avengers.
he was
Yeah, after the first Avengers, it's like I don't know what they did to him. Like, he just wasn't the same. You know, in the first Avengers, Loki's fearing Hulk. You know what I mean? He's like, oh, I thought the Beast was gone. And then in the second one, it's like they don't have that fear of Hulk anymore. And that was an issue for me.
absolutely. And they had that like in Age of Ultron, they had like that stupid romance between Black Widow and Hulk.
Mm-hmm.
Then they did that thing in Ragnarok, and then Hulk did not appear in Infinity War. And then they made him Professor Hulk in Endgame, which he didn't even do. They didn't even do right.
Exactly. And that's the thing. It's like you gave him Professor Hulk right away, but I find in the Marvel movies, they never actually showed you how powerful the Hulk really is. So now you're going to give him the weakest version of himself as Professor Hulk. I didn't like that.
I did not either. And then Ninja comes in, Hulk like fire.
Thor like thunder, Hulk like fire.
Well, they're both actually kind of like fire.
Yeah, and then you're like, Hulk smoldering fire. Yeah, I don't know, man. I just, like I said, the dialogue with Hulk sounding like a baby just threw me off.
Oh, but it was stupid. I agree. I didn't like Hulk in that movie. I liked the action sequence at the end of Thor Ragnarok where like they're on Asgard and then she cut out Thor's eye. That was gruesome even for like a Marvel film.
And that was good too, right? And then you got Hulk fighting a dog, and then Hulk is going for the fire creature. I can't remember his name. And Thor's like, no, don't do it. And it's like, you know, like you got to give Hulk something to fight, man. You got to give him something to show his strength. And I just find they haven't done that enough in the Marvel movies.
Absolutely agreed. Absolutely 100% agreed.
Yeah, so that's one of my biggest issues. Like you let Hulk get beat by Thor, he gets beat by Hulkbuster, and then Thanos, I had no problems with that because Thanos is supposed to beat Hulk. And again, it's another one of those moments where you have to show how powerful the threat is. So how do you do that? By beating up the strongest character. I get that. But if they had shown more of how strong Hulk was in the whole MUC, then it would have had more of an impact for me.
I agree. Absolutely agreed.
So
let's see here. We're at the hour and 20 mark, or hour 23.
yes, sir.
How much time do you have left?
I got 5 minutes to go till 4.
Okay, so yeah, we'll go for another few minutes. So usually at like towards the end of the stream, like I give everybody like a couple minutes to kind of ask any questions they want to ask or they want to play anything in chat.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because this is like, guys, this is your chance now. Like you guys have like a few minutes now to like guys, well after 4 o'clock, that's where we're gonna end it. So if you guys have anything else you want to put in chat, you guys definitely can do that now. If you,
I'll definitely say this was great, man. I'll definitely come back on the show anytime you want to have a little chat and shit. I'm down for that.
like this was actually a really fun stream, man. I
enjoyed it too, man.
Yeah, I will definitely have you back on.
Not a problem. I'm there, brother.
Because it was fun kind of talking about the Amazing Spider-Man, because I already talked about Spider-Man 3. I might talk about the Homecoming films and maybe the original 2 Raimi films at some later point. Like maybe I'll do like a ranking video where I rank the Spider-Man films, because I want to talk about like the rest of them. Because now that I wanted to talk about these 3 in particular because of how polarizing they are.
Yeah, for sure. Great topic, man.
And how, because no one really likes the Amazing Spider-Man films other than, like, you know, the minority of people.
I agree. Oh,
Ninjoy comes in. Austinator streams are always fun. Thank you, Ninjoy. Yeah, I try to be, I try to have fun streams. Like one of my streams, I was reading fan fiction, like really bad Arrowverse fan fiction. It was.
But Ninja, your streams are good too, man. Don't sell yourself.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
You know, so.
Itsy Boy comes in. Personally, my favorite Spider-Man is Tobey Maguire, but I did like seeing Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man. Just don't think the first or second Amazing Spider-Man wasn't good. Listen, Itsy Boy, that's your opinion, my friend. If you don't like it, man, that's perfectly fine. You don't have to. Because again, I understand why people don't like it. I absolutely 100% agree.
For real. And everything is subjective, right? So something you're gonna like is probably something I might not like, and that's okay. That's why we have this forum, so that we can talk and we can discuss. We can tell you what you like, what I liked, what you didn't like, stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. And Ninjoy says, smash that like button. Yes, guys, smash that like button. If you guys haven't already, hit the subscribe button. Also, subscribe to Jason's channel. I put that in the description.
Yes, sir.
Itchy Boy says, I just didn't like the plot. Yeah, or wait, which kind of plot was shit, really? Yeah, I agree the Amazing Spider-Man plots really aren't that great. But I still found them to be quite enjoyable, regardless.
Yeah, they're watchable movies, definitely.
Your streams are great. Oh, thank you, Sour. I appreciate that, man. I really do appreciate it. And Ninjoy says, thanks, Jason.
Oh, you're welcome, Ninjoid. And great movie, by the way, man. I love the way you incorporated your music and the dialogue and everything in that. Very good work, man.
So before you know, this stream, before anybody really puts any more chats, I want to say, like, the secret project, because I know everyone's like, oh, what's the secret project? The secret project is not really like an original film. Like, it's gonna be like a DC related film, because I'm a DC fan. I kind of want to show my love for them in a way.
Nothing wrong with that.
So for my, because I want to, like, show them, like, okay, I really care about DC. I want them to have this, because I want to show DC, like, there are fans that really like them. And the fan film that I'm doing is going to take place during it's actually going to be related to a comic storyline. Like, if the film does really well, I want to do like a universe.
Okay, sounds good.
I
was gonna say, you should definitely have Terrence on sometime, man. You guys would definitely, because he's a DC fan too. You guys would definitely have a lot.
I would love to have Terrence on here.
I'll set it up for you.
Yeah, I could have you and Terrence on here, and that might be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll definitely set that up.
All right, that would actually be pretty cool. Thank you.
Not a problem, man.
We got Ninjoid. Yeah, I try the best with my films.
Hey, you're doing a good job, man. Keep it up, man. Keep doing it up. You're gonna learn new techniques. You're gonna get better. Watch, you're gonna do great, man. Keep it up.
Yeah, Ninjoid, absolutely. Like, Oh, also with my fan film, it's basically going to be like a horror film in a sense. It's going to be like a DC horror film, but it's going to be related to the comics.
That's good, man. And we can talk horror films too, because I'm a big horror film fan. I love horror films too. Your list with your horror films was absolutely good. You know what I mean? So yeah, I could definitely talk horror films with you.
Yeah. I think my ranking video, I just didn't remember where my where the number was, so I kind of was just like, all right, this, that, that, that.
Mhm. How old are you, man?
I'm 17, close to 18.
Okay. Because I like the fact that you go back and you watch old movies. You know what I mean? It's not just recent stuff. Like you go back and you watch the old stuff, because some of the old stuff is really good.
Yeah, like I love old stuff.
It's good. It's good, man.
And Sour I want to start making songs soon. You should definitely do that, Sour.
Absolutely. Do whatever you like, man. And you guys don't let none of these haters discourage you at anything that you want to do, man. You do what you do. If you like what you do and you have the passion to do it, stick to it and you'll succeed, man.
I agree. So it is 4 o'clock. I think we're gonna wrap it up here because I got to do something for my mom.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to thank Jason for coming on here. This was absolutely fun. I love this.
No problem, man. Thank you for having me on the show. Like I said, you guys have been a great supporter for me. Like I said, like I see you guys in my comments all the time. Nindroid, Sour, you, and I have nothing but love for that, man. So thanks a lot.
No problem. And I can't wait to see. I can't wait to have you and Terrence on here whenever that will happen.
We'll try and set something up for next week.
Oh yeah, we can do it next week. Definitely.
Okay.
All right. See you all later. Yeah. See you later, Nindroid. Talk to you all later. Talk to you later, Sour. So yeah, guys, that's it. If after this stream, if you're watching this after the fact, hit the subscribe button. I'm trying to hit 40 subscribers. Go subscribe to Jason's channel. Hit that like button.
Yes, sir.
And that's it. Thank you guys for watching. This is the Osinator signing out.
Peace.